Too Legit to Crit, a tabletop role-playing podcast for those of us who have dark vision.
So my cat.
Yeah, basically. But like we discussed last week, every time we build a character, it's going to have dark vision, because if not, it's fucked.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my name is Juan Santana, and with me, as always, is my good friend Zoop. Misfit will not be joining us this week, as she is away doing the Ren fairs and all that. So I hope she's having a wonderful time.
Yeah, it must still be good weather where she is.
Must be, yeah. Yeah, it must be. So how are you anyway?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
I'm doing good.
Have
How
you
about
been-
you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Not too bad. Just, getting into the spirit of things for Halloween next week. Trying to adjust to our daylight savings time, which has just gone. So it's a bit earlier in the day for me to be recording.
So who came up with the daylight savings times first, Britain or the US?
Don't get me wrong, this may be absolute bullshit, but as far as I'm aware, it was an American thing.
Yeah, so why did y'all follow our footsteps? That seems crazy.
I don't. To be honest, we tend to follow in the footsteps of America quite a bit more than we actually should, to be fair.
So wasn't it Benjamin Franklin's idea?
That's what I've always heard. How true that is or not is beyond me.
I think Benjamin Franklin is I wonder how much he's like Shakespeare, and that like things were maybe attributed to him that weren't necessarily.
Yeah, quite possibly. But there is a lot of things in history that we attribute to people, and a lot of times it's to avoid the uncomfortable truth.
Yeah.
Apparently in 1916, a year after Willet's death, Germany became the first country to adopt daylight saving time.
Oh.
UK did the same a few weeks later, along with any other nations involved with the First World War.
Oh, so why do we give him credit?
I have no idea.
There
is. I do have a little tidbit about this, which is very fucking depressing. In Spain, although Spain should be on the same sort of time zone as the UK, just by pure location, it's actually on the same time zone as Germany. And that is because the dictator at the time, Franco, wanted to saddle up to Hitler.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So that's why Spain's like an hour ahead.
But does that change in Spain what time things start and end? Like here, work starts 8 to 9 a.m. Does work start earlier or later because of that?
No, it's exactly the same. Okay. Exactly the same, but their 8 o'clock is different to my 8 o'clock.
Right.
It shouldn't be. It should be on the same thing because it is in the same time zone, but because fascism.
Yeah. Fascism. Which is really funny. I think we were talking about fascism last week.
We not on air. I will say we did
not on air. Yes.
For anybody watching, don't go try find the part where we were talking about fascism on air, because I
will use this to plug. I don't remember if it's next week. I think it must be next week, so not tomorrow, but the week after the first episode of the mini series American Demigods, which is probably going to be like a 4 episode, might still be a 5 episode, but originally slated to be a 4 episode mini series about American demigods saving democracy, and that's going to be on Game Master Monday. It's a podcast where you find your podcasts, and yeah, very excited.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that, because you've been, you and I have been talking about it.
Yeah.
You've been asking me questions. which I wish I was a bit more versed in to be
Oh,
able
me
to actually
too. Me too.
answer. But it sounds very interesting. It sounds really, really
Yeah.
cool. So I think everyone should, just go watch that. It's not
Yeah,
out yet, but
and
just just stop watching us. Go watch that. It's easy.
I'll find out where we're posting the character art, cuz the
Mm.
character art, these are some hot demigods.
Ooh, okay. Who did your art?
Eoshia. Mia,
Hmm.
she does work with cloaks and capes.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So yeah, but yeah, keep us posted. Let me know. I will post it all over the socials. We'll put it on our website for people to see. Just to
Yeah,
try get the word out there as much as humanly possible because
absolutely.
I'm sure it's going to be fucking fantastic.
Um,
So
speak.
speak. Yeah.
Speaking of putting words out there, I think Goodberry Cafe still has 2 days left in their a trust, something of trust and reimbursement, basically raising money for Gem's legal fees to go get money back from a convention organizers that screwed a whole bunch of people over. So there's been a lot of games to watch, and you can donate to affect those games. So it's Goodberry, like the spell, cafe, all one word.
Okay. Yeah, that's for a fantastic cause. Go get involved with that, and fuck those convention organizers.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So on to like happier things. What sort of gaming have you been doing this week?
Okay, so for Goodberry Cafe, I played in a game of Perils and Princesses. Um, or is it Princesses and Perils? It's P and P. Um, you know, following the letter and letter
Yeah.
way of naming things. And that was pretty cool. I played. I very much did based on, so they have what do you call it, they have charts for, or tables that you can roll everything, um like including what your fairy godmother is, what your magical gift is, what your items are, and then they even have a section that, for newer role players, they can roll to get personality um
Hmm.
ideas, and I just decided to roll all the way down everything that it said to roll. I
Hmm.
rolled um and came up with a princess who um had a shapeshifter for a a fairy godmother, and um healing touch as her magic, and I decided that her fairy godmother was a vampire that she ran into in the club.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
She herself wasn't a vampire. I think the vampire was like, have this healing touch and heal the humans after we bite them, so we
Yeah.
can bite them again.
Hmm. Then, so yeah, that sounds interesting. Where can people find that? Is that on twitch.tv /
Uh,
Goodberry Cafe?
yeah, yep. And that was a good time, and we had Sir Arthur Hubert, I think, who was played by Tamlin of Five Gems in a Trench Coat, and he was a pumpkin knight, so his armor was all pumpkinish. Who else did we have? We had Nate Brass, from he's mostly at um, Roll D5 right now. Among other things, he also shows up on like um on the Star. I always mix up Starfield and Moz's channel. Um, Moz is Starcrawl.
Hmm.
Um, and he played Mitch from Corporate, because anybody can be a princess as long as they have a fairy godmother and
Yeah.
a power. And then who did we have as our last one? Um, I'm gonna feel really embarrassed for the fact that I forgot. Um, oh yeah, Sky. Sky played Gray, who was a like basically Moon Knight.
Okay,
So
nice.
it was pretty cool. It was a good time. We it was a mix of Halloween and fairy tales.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, those two things can mix quite well as well
Yeah.
because the original, sort of the original fairy tales were quite non-child friendly, should we say?
Oh my god, yes.
So having them like adapting them into sort of a Halloween setting is it works really well.
Yeah.
So as for me, I've been playing some Savage Worlds. Yeah.
Nice.
Which, we are currently doing Savage Pathfinder. Just because, I wanted to try and see how Savage Worlds would cope with a sort of high fantasy system, and it is absolutely glorious. Just the speed and the there's no slowdown as opposed to original Pathfinder.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
original
know,
Pathfinder can definitely be a little slow,
mm.
depending.
and
Um,
and that includes second edition as well,
yeah, yeah.
because holy shit, that is. Oof.
Yeah, definitely excited to learn more about Savage Worlds. Actually, speaking of like more encompassing systems, because I feel like there are two kind of like TTRPG games. There are like systems, and then there are more like there's a lot of the indies are more like a scenario or like a situation based, like Honey Heist, your bears, you know, Goblin with a fat ass, your goblins with fat asses, like uh,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. Whereas there are some like cipher, like Savage Worlds, where like can you can go into a lot of different um genres and kind of environments. So one that I got to play actually last night is I got to experience sagas for the first time, and it
Oh,
was actually run by Dennis, who is the creator of sagas,
yeah.
which is uh, something and genre agnostic.
Agnostic system.
Yeah,
Setting and genre
setting.
agnostic system. Yeah,
Um,
I've been following sagas for quite some time, and it does look really interesting.
yeah, it was pretty cool. I converted Purvi Patel is my longest running character, as in she has been in the most AP or yeah, the most streamed games that I've done. I have played her both as a teenager with cosmic powers and a supervillain father in Masks, as the Scion, and then I played her in Monsters and Other Childish Things as a younger version of herself, like 8, 9 years old, with where each of us have monsters that are our best friend, um, and um so I tried porting her into this system, and we played the multiverse version, where every once in a while he threw us into a new setting and genre.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I like the sound of sagas. I've never really had a chance to play it, but it's definitely on there on the to-do list. Another one that is one to keep out for is Sake.
Sake.
Sake. It is sorcerers and kings. Um, and it's a one-man operation, but it is huge. I mean, I got a prototype of the core rulebook, and it's like 350 pages
Oh,
or something
jeez.
like that. And it accounts for, it's got rules for everything. It's even got rules for kingdom building. And, it is definitely a one-stop shop. So I've been looking to try and set something up in that, but Sorcerer's Adventures, Kings, and Economics.
Mm.
Yeah, it is. So it's perfect for players who want to experience the thrill of adventure while managing their own domains, trading, engaging in large-scale battles, and playing with magic and gods all in one game. So if you're looking for like a system agnostic one, Sake is probably is one I could highly recommend.
Okay.
And
Very
just try
cool.
and pop that on the screen.
It does seem to have a big buy-in though, 300 pages.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's what that's what I was sent as the prototype, and it was huge. But it's one of these where you can pick and choose the parts that you want, much like Savage Worlds.
Okay.
So if you just want to run a standard fantasy campaign, you ignore 2/3 of the book.
Gotcha.
If you then want to do sort of army management, that's another part of the book that you bring in. If you then want to do kingdom management, that's another part of the book. So
Interesting.
it's big, but it is like, it's all encompassing.
Does it go over generations?
In what sense?
Like, does it allow you to play out a game over multiple generations of people?
I wouldn't be able to answer that question, I'm afraid.
Oh.
I do not know, but from what I can see, I would imagine so.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of thought has been put into creating this for to be able to cover everything.
Right.
But it does. By the way, for effectively a one-person operation, it is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, 300 pages for a one person, that's a dissertation. I hope they got a PhD out of that.
Let me see if I can find the actual PDF that I was sent. I'll tell you the exact page count. I just remember looking at it going, fuck. I mean, the reason I haven't managed to properly review it is because it's time.
Yeah.
I'll find it while we're discussing. So while we're on the topic of mechanics, one thing that we actually kind of mentioned, sort of talking about, were how mechanics kind of influence story and vice versa.
Yeah. I think the original pitch that we were throwing around was like story crafting. And I don't know that I'm that good at that yet, that I could talk that much about it, but I could listen to you talk about it. But my skill is more in not so much as the the whole, like the larger picture, but my skill is in making sure that the story uses the player's mechanics.
Right. Okay. And does that approach change depending on the system you're using?
Absolutely. So like, okay. So we go back to our classic D&D. Every class is based around the damage that you can deal, like how you deal damage. There are those other things like investigation, interrogation, and whatnot, but really all of the classes are based around how you deal damage, whether you deal damage by sneak attack, or you deal and withstand damage with rage, whether your damage abilities come from a patron, whether it is divine, that do you do radiant damage, do you do damage manually with a weapon, or do you do it with magic, that kind of thing. So again, it is leads more into a lot of battles, and then the other stats are useful for kind of filling in like the holes around, like battles, like where you go and you problem solve and things like that, but it's not built for that. um but Masks is another game that I'm very familiar with, and in Masks some of the playbooks are damage oriented. The Nova is damage oriented. All of the Nova's moves are based on um the Nova burns, and then they get a certain number of burns that they can use to do um attacks. So they are very damage based. But then a lot of other ones, I'm just pulling up the playbooks. Um the moves that you get based on the playbook that you choose might not be as damage based. Um so like the beacon, one of the first moves is straight up creeping. When you scope out a person or place, roll plus mundane. On a 10 plus, ask 2 questions. On a 7 to 9, ask 1. And then there are different questions that you can ask. And so that move is very specifically about your ability to suss out what's going on. And the delinquent has, I don't care what you think. Whenever you reject others' influence, add +2 to your roll. So that has nothing to do with fighting and everything to do with the delinquents' social interactions with other people, whether it's their peers, whether it's adults, whatnot. So a lot of the moves are not fight based. And I think like when you are a DM who started in D&D and you move to these other systems, you have to learn how to adjust your story to make sure that your other players moves, skill sets are utilized.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone on record on the show multiple times and said that I don't believe that Pathfinder and D&D should be considered role-playing games. Full stop. I think
more
they are
war games.
They're more akin to war games and card collecting games.
Card collecting.
Yeah. So, you've got Magic the Gathering where you build your deck.
Oh, okay.
Now substitute cards for feats and skills and spells.
Mm-hmm.
You're essentially doing the same thing.
Okay.
So, that's the way I see these games. I don't see them as role-playing games because I think the mechanics take away from the role-play aspect, because you've got a third of the entire game which is focused on one element.
Or
and
more.
That is combat. Or
I
more.
think that's more than a third.
In Pathfinder, it's a tangible third because that's the way they present it in the system.
Right,
they kind of go, this game is divided into 3 parts. You've got combat phase, or encounter phase as they call it, exploration. And downtime.
Yes.
So in Pathfinder 2e, they pretty much quantify it. So that's what I normally go on and say, yeah, it's a third. Because even in D&D, it is a third. So a lot of your characters' build is to build around this concept of, we are going to get into combat. And that, I feel, takes away from the roleplay aspect of, well, do we have to get into combat?
Yes.
If I'm a peasant person who just happens to have magical abilities, I'm going to try and make money for myself. I'm not going to go and start fighting fucking beasts and whatnot. So I think where you've got these very sort of focused mechanics, I think it does. I think they do take away from the narrative and the role play, and any sort of adjustments to the narrative to accommodate for these mechanics. It just feels shoehorned in.
Right.
Whereas systems which are a bit more um, rules light in a way,
Hmm.
I feel it gives you a lot more room to explore. I mean, Mask is PBTA, isn't it? So
Yes. Yeah.
PBTA games, they're very rules light. They're um very direct. But even so, the reason I don't get on with PBTA games is because of the adherence to moves.
Yes, there is. That is definitely something that I'm seeing in the Demigods miniseries that I'm running, is that, you know, uh the first, I had like the first episode is scenes where you meet all the characters, and then the second episode they come together and they end up in a battle, and it very quickly became clear that only one out of my five demigods was spec'd for battle.
Hmm.
And it was like, luckily that was the end of that recording session, because I was like, okay, I have to, like, I have literally all the pages. I have, printed out the move sets, like all of the different moves, and then I have all of their character sheets over here that list what their moves are for each of them. And I'm like, okay, how do I create scenarios that um, really allow them to use their moves in
Yeah,
creative ways? And
I
the
mean,
third episode, they got to do that quite a bit.
I found that when I was running my Pathfinder 2e homebrew. There was one character that, not only the character, but the character and the player, it was combat. It
Mhm.
was, if we're not getting into combat, I'm not really going to participate because I've got nothing to participate with. And it is a system that discourages rolling without proficiency. It is a system that if you
100%.
if you haven't taken occult, then there's no point you rolling to see if you get anything.
Yeah.
You know, and so in this game, unless I put a combat in, I had one player that was getting bored at the table. And yeah, so that for me is one of the reasons why it turned me off the system.
Yeah.
You
The
know, it
Pathfinder in general.
yeah, it kind of it hampered our ability to tell a story,
Right.
because having to cater to everyone, you had the two or three players who'd built characters that were a bit more universal, and they were the center of attention during the entire session. That's because we had two or three characters that couldn't do fucking anything else.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it definitely was a challenge to kind of create a cod pilot. Not to say that it was impossible, because we did it, but I'd much rather use Savage Worlds where the rules are there, but if you don't want to take them, just leave them. Just focus on the
Right.
main like resolution system, and everything else just there. Take
Yeah.
it or leave it.
I think, like, with Powered by the Apocalypse, the good thing is that you have your attributes, right? And so for each Powered by the Apocalypse game, your attributes are different, but they can generally go down only to a -2 and all the way to a 3 plus. Um, and multiple moves use each of the attributes. Um, and so, and you're rolling 2d6. um so you have like it is easier to do moves that are outside of your skill set. You're not really hemmed in necessarily in that way unless you're like really about only succeeding. But then if you only do the things that you succeed at, you don't progress.
Yeah.
Because in most Powered by the Apocalypse games, the way you gain experience is by failing.
I do like that system because they do it. It's done in Delta Green as well.
Yeah.
Whereas if you Delta Green, you've got a list of skills. Any skill that you roll for and you fail, you can then enhance at the end of the session because you learn by failing. And I think
Yeah.
that does encourage players to be a bit more risk taking as opposed to hedging their bets on, oh, I've got a high score in this. That's what I'm going to rely on. Whereas the systems which kind of reward players for trying something new or trying something different or just trying something and failing, it definitely creates a different sort of vibe at the table.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember Call of Cthulhu. Um, when you get to quote unquote level up, I forget if you get to roll for every skill you've tried to use or only the skills you've successfully used. Um,
I actually own a copy of Call of Cthulhu. I can probably find it during the course of this show. I'm on my drive
oh,
through right now because I've downloaded Sake. By the way, 590 pages.
Jesus. Um,
it it's chunk.
it's chunk. That's a chunky
It's
boy.
chunk. That's a chunky
Um,
boy. It's a phenomenal book, though. I will say that.
but Call of Cthulhu, at least, even if it's only the ones that you succeeded at, that you get to then possibly increase it, you still don't get to the point where it is extremely difficult to get to the point where you can increase a skill to the point that you never fail. Um, because each time you have a chance to increase a skill, like your skill in the skill, because it's a roll under. So as you increase your skill, you increase your chances of rolling under. You to level up, first you roll your D100 to see if you get under or above. And I believe it is, yeah, if you get above, which would normally be a failure, that's when you get to level it up. So like once you
Yeah.
get like 70%, like a 70 in a skill, you're very unlikely to, when you're leveling up, to roll above that 70 and therefore allow you to increase those skills.
Yeah, Delta Green does the same. So you can increase skills or stats. You need to make a roll and fail. So obviously, the more skilled you are, the less chances of failure you have.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder to develop, and it is a very sort of it's a clever way around the leveling up problem where people just kind of pump into the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Whereas this, if you've got a 70, that means, you've got to roll 70 or higher, 71 or higher. So that's a 30% chance.
Right, exactly.
And if you don't, you don't level up. And I
Um
think it's fantastic.
So, if we go back to demigods for a second, the basic moves. So there is smite your enemy, which is when you're in a fight, but then you have perform under pressure, which is whenever you do something that the heat is on. So this is not a fight, but anything that you're doing that's just like you are very stressed, like it is a stressful situation, like you need to, like if they were playing basketball and they wanted to land a shot, I would have them perform under pressure, and that uses metal, um which is metal is considered the ability to perform under pressure. Um, and but also I could have one of my players go, well, in this case I'm making a goal, and my desire is to get the crowd on my side, so I'm going to use
Hmm.
awe instead of metal. And I would say, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely do that. Or someone saying, I'm using my raw athletic ability, so I want to use prowess. And I say, yeah, cool, do that. Then they
Hmm.
have Bend Fate, which uses weird, and you wield the supernatural forces of fate, and there's like a whole bunch of boons and banes that you can do. And they have cool gifts. The gifts can be anything from adaptable, divine constitution, an animal companion, tree walking is a gift. And so like you can use those gifts and expand them.
Hmm.
There's sway someone, so whenever you're trying to convince someone to see things your way, um, you roll that. And then pierce the veil is the like basically investigate. In this case, it's like you're looking beyond the veneer of mortality to like see what's going on, and that's been really cool. My players have used it to kind of find out answers to the puzzle, and then I get to, because they'll ask a question like,
Hmm.
what is the greatest danger with this person, place, or thing? And um I've noticed that some people, when they play Powered by the Apocalypse, they say they just give you the answer. But I like to give the players the reason that they're able to figure out this answer.
Okay.
Um
In what way?
so like where did this so like what is the greatest danger with this person, place, or thing? If, let's say, you were in a bank and
Hmm.
someone was holding up the bank, and they say, what is the greatest danger with this person? Maybe at that moment they notice the gun that's hidden.
Okay.
um or because it's peering beyond the veneer of mortality, maybe they get a vision of like
Right.
what is happening. But
Hmm.
being able to do that, to weave it into the narrative instead of just saying, you know this, but why do
Yeah.
you know this?
Hmm. No, I do like that. I do like cluing or including players into creating the narrative. Whether it's
Mm.
something as simple as, okay, so you walk into a tavern, what do you think it looks like? Or what do you think it, who do you think is there? And just the things that, the way I like to do it is the things that I don't find important. I like to give to the players. I like to give to them. All right, you're on a busy street. What does it look like to you?
Right.
What does it sound like? And let them come up with a description, because it doesn't make a difference to me or to any sort of nefarious plans I may have for them.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be my creating. It gets rid of some of the GM weight. It lets me focus on other things and gives them agency as well. We
Absolutely.
in Pathfinder we had, I can't remember. I honestly can't remember the name of it, but one of the players came up with the funniest fucking name for a brothel. And I don't and he said it as an off-cuff remark. So in the
Right.
next session, I had them go to that brothel. I had that brothel as an actual place for them.
Right.
And
Right.
it
When
was
and that's something
they
they
loved it.
created.
They fucking loved it. And I can't remember, if I can find my notes, it was the funniest fucking thing I can ever imagine. But I have just actually downloaded Call of Cthulhu from my drive through.
Okay.
Okay, so once an investigator development phase has been called, Examine the investigator's sheet to see which skills have been checked as successes.
Okay, so it is successes, yeah.
Yeah, so no matter how many times a skill is used, only one check per skill can be made. For each skill, the player rolls 1d100. Something succeeding at something you are not good at is difficult. However, successfully using the skill probably means that the investigator learns from the experience.
Yes, yes. So like
Conversely, yeah,
if you're sneaking and your sneak is a 10 but you manage to roll a 5, the idea is that you've probably learned how to sneak. So as long as you roll again, you have a, 9 and 10, you have a 90% chance to roll above that 10.
yeah.
Um
If the player rolls higher than the current skill number or the result is over 95, then the investigator improves that skill by 1d10.
yeah.
That's a bigger sort of increase because in Delta Green it's only 1d4.
Oh.
Mm. And
Does
it's
Delta
only the
Green.
things you fail at.
Oh, but Delta Green is the only things that you fail at.
Mm. Yeah, you increase them by 1d4 at the end of at the end of every session. So
Oh, okay, so
that's
that
probably
makes sense. That makes sense. I think the investigator, I think in Call of Cthulhu, it happens like after a like not at the end of every session, but at the end of like
a scenario
yeah,
according to
yeah, a full scenario. I was like,
or a
encounter is not
chapter
right.
or
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's about time I started abusing my drive-through library.
So then we can
So
talk
much on
about
there.
all these different games.
Exactly.
The other thing I was going to remark on when you were explaining about like having your characters fill in what the street looks like, the other thing that I like to do is um like if the street is important or if I want them to find something in the street, don't tell them how they found it. Let them tell you
Yeah.
what they're looking
Mm.
for. Like, are they paying more attention to the smells? Are they paying more attention to the sounds? Are they paying more attention to the merchants? Are they paying more attention to the children? Like,
Mm.
what are people, like, what are you paying attention to?
Yeah. I completely agree because I do that as well. And my question is normally, all right, what does this look like? So they'll tell me they're doing something. Okay, I want to go in and see if I see anything. Okay, so what does this look like to you? How do you
Mm.
envision this? And then we'll roll. We will roll a dice in a bit. But right now, I want you to tell me what this looks like. And the reason I'm doing that, and I'm quite heavy handed with it, is that my current table, they're all coming from Pathfinder. So they're all very much, okay, I'll roll to hit. It's like, okay, what does it look like? Give me a
Right.
description. And then, depending on your description, I'll tell you what to roll.
That makes sense. I'm trying to Perils and Princesses, which I just okay. So in Perils and Princesses, you have um, everything you do falls under one of three virtues:
Mm,
resolve, grace, or wits. So those are like your three abilities. They call it virtues in this case. You know, they call it attributes and demigods, but
mm,
everything just falls under one of those three things, and you get your resolve, grace, and wits numbers by
okay.
rolling 4d4 when you create your character.
Mm,
So you roll it in order. You roll 4d4, you give that to resolve. 4d4,
yeah.
you give that to grace. 4d4, you give that to wits. And then you can either swap two numbers or you can re-roll one of those numbers to see if you get a higher number, but everything is around that, and then you roll a d20 with the goal of rolling your score or lower,
Yeah.
um to see if you succeed. But that covers, pretty much everything that you can do.
Yeah. All right. So it is like a very sort of narrative. Because I've got the thing up as well. I've got
Perils
the
and
web page
Princesses,
up.
yeah.
Perils and Princesses. I'm looking it up now.
Um,
Um. So
like
let's look at the game.
at one point we in the game on Wednesday, we 3 scarecrows came up and menaced us. And again, most of us were not like battle ready other than Sir Arthur. Um and so one of us needed to one of us was like, wait, isn't this the kingdom of the princess that we're saving? Like, you should be letting us go. We're going to save your princess. And so we rolled a grace test because it's like, convincing someone. And one of them was kind of convinced, oh, I don't want to do that. And then I think somebody else said something that involved a wit. They were using wit, and that pushed another one of them away. And then the last person went ahead and attacked because they actually had a good attack, and they used a resolve roll. So we got to do all 3 tests as a way to get rid of those 3 scarecrows.
So do you like in Perils and Princesses on any other games? Meta currency. Do you play many games that involve those?
What do you mean by meta currency? That's actually a term I've never heard before.
So the most obvious thing, and the one I know that you'll be familiar with, is like hero points in Pathfinder.
Oh.
So things that are outside of the character sheet, that are outside of the narrative, but they will, if used correctly, help enhance said narrative.
Right.
Right now I'm playing a lot of Savage Worlds, and that has bennies, which is similar to hero points, but the economy is a lot more fluid. I'm giving out fucking bennies all the time, and the players are using bennies all the time, and it does help create, or it gives the players that agency to kind of go, no, I want to re-roll that and succeed. I want to.
So how do you and they don't have a max cap on bennies?
Nope.
So how do they earn bennies?
Earn bennies to a certain degree, it's GM discretion, but they give you some guidelines. So if a character kind of plays up their hindrance, a hindrance is something that your character's not very good at, or something that will kind of impede your character. So if you kind of play that up, it's like, okay, yeah, you can get a benny for that. I do it for good role play. I do it for interesting sort of tactics during combat or during a task, or I'll do it for clever play. I'll do it even for jokes. If someone makes us laugh at the table,
like it makes a great pun, and you're like, yeah, take like 10 points of damage, but also take a benny.
Yeah, and where in Pathfinder, I found that the hero point system, the way it was designed, wasn't very good. I like the way the bennies are designed, in the fact there is no cap, and you are encouraged to hand them out, and the players are encouraged to use them. So you can use as many bennies as you want on the same roll. If you want it to succeed, you can use benny after benny after benny.
In Pathfinder, how did you get hero points?
Hero points, the way, in society, they encourage you to do it give out 1 hero point per hour, give or take.
Okay.
You can get hero points, similar sort of things, good role play, good combat, even again making jokes at the table, whatever. Just give out hero points. The only problem is
you
in
can only
Pathfinder,
have 3 at a time.
you can only have 3.
Yeah.
So they become precious, and what I found is it created a system in which players would burn them at the end of every session.
Oh, yeah.
So they'd hang on to them to the last combat, and then just go Nova and start burning them. And it just kind of took away, whereas bennies, where it's so free, players can use a benny to regain power points, and They know they'll
Yeah.
probably get one in the next 10 minutes anyway, so
So, when I played Pathfinder, the way we generally got hero points, sometimes we get hero points for really doing something heroic, like throwing
mm,
our body in the way of another character to protect them, or, doing something particularly smart, we would get a hero point. But otherwise, the main way we got hero points is every time one of us rolled a natural 20, we got to give a hero point to somebody else.
I like that. That I
Yeah.
prefer than the actual way it's meant to sort of happen. But yeah,
Um,
that I do like that.
yeah, so that was really cool because like every time we rolled a natural 20, it was like, yes, I succeeded. But also you didn't feel bad when you rolled a natural 20 to like succeed on something
Mm,
ridiculous, like, um charming the bartender into a free drink. Um you could then give a hero point to somebody else, and you would
mm,
like, figure out like, oh, who is low on hero points and the like.
yeah,
Um and we didn't have the thing where we wanted to stack up our hero points, because in order to, if you have the dying condition, in order to come back up to stable, I think,
yeah, yeah.
um
It's a
you
stable.
you use all your hero points.
Yeah,
So it felt better if you only had one hero point, that way you were only spending one hero point.
yeah.
So we always wanted to have one, but we usually wouldn't hold on to
Mm.
more than that.
One
um
there is a meta currency that I really enjoyed, although the system I didn't quite get on with, and that is Cipher, the XP.
okay.
I think that is the way that works is that you can spend XP to obviously like advance your character, but you can also spend XP for like a reroll or to bump up a
Oh.
roll, etc., etc. So it becomes a more fluid economy. And the way you gain XP, well, one of the ways you gain XP is via the GM intrusions,
Oh,
which
right, right,
are
right.
things that have come out of the blue. You're walking down a mountain, and now we'll say, okay, so as a GM intrusion, you fall. You're going to take this much damage. The player can either spend XP to kind of go, no, that's not happening, or they can accept it and they gain XP for themselves and for another player.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that rewards this collaborative sort of storytelling.
So usually in Powered by the Apocalypse, you gain a thread, or you gain an experience point when you fail. In
Hmm.
Demigods, it's different. So in Demigods, you gain threads, and you can have up to 5 threads at a time. So you can spend threads. You can spend one to get Fate's favor.
Hmm.
Um, which means that you roll 3d6 and do the higher two. You can spend one to alter the scene. I forget exactly what that does, but it allows you to add something to the scene that allows your roll to be successful. I
Okay.
forget if it's like a 7, if it you can only get a 7 to 9, or if it's like a full success. Um, I think it's that you get a 7 to 9. And then you can also spend one to avoid one harm, and you can spend up to 5 threads to avoid harm. So if someone
Hmm.
hits you for 3 harm and you have 3 threads, you can spend it. If you have 5 threads, if you have banked 5 threads, you can immediately spend it to buy an advancement from your playbook. And
Okay.
the way that you can gain threads is you roll doubles. So you roll 2 4s, 2 2s. Like, doesn't matter if you succeed or fail. You roll doubles, you gain a thread. And then, so it says your ways of gaining a thread. The other one, actually, I'll leave the other always one. And then each playbook has its own 4 ways that you can gain a thread each session. So, for the warrior, uh, starting a fight, finishing a fight, explaining a battle strategy, diffusing a tense situation. do any of those things during a session, you gain a thread. The Verdant, which is kind of like a druidish character, you can defend the wilds, act like a plant or animal, talk with a plant or animal, or share too much information, which I think is really funny. Like that's a weakness, but like you do that and you can gain it. The Reaper, save a life, throw a party, make morbid remarks, or ease someone's suffering. So there's like a variety ways for people for each playbook to gain threads. And then the other option that always gains you a thread is to be epic.
Okay.
So as long as your GM like looks at it and it's like, yes, that was epic, take a thread. So the Herald, in this case it's called the Herald, really can control beyond those other fixed ways of gaining threads just by like really investing in the characters and enjoying the epic things that they do.
Yeah, because that, I mean, Blades in the Dark has a similar sort of mechanic where each playbook has certain things that will gain them XP. But then there is also if you make a desperate roll, which a desperate roll means, you know, if you fuck this up, you are something bad is going to happen to you. So anytime you roll a desperate roll, which can be due to circumstance, but if you are given a sort of standard position, you can kind of go, all right, can I make a desperate roll for a better result? And you can have that conversation with the GM, and the GM can go, yeah, go for it. If you roll that desperate roll, you're going to get XP regardless, but if you fail it, you're fucked. So I think that would equate to the be epic sort of thing in Demigods. By the way, I'm learning about all these systems which I've now got on as tabs. I opened up Demigods, I'm opened up that Princesses one.
Yeah. I realized on my card I need to have a page where I list the games that like I know well how to play, games that I have played, and then games that I want to play. And then start knocking off some of those games that I want to play.
The games that I want to play are just I've got so fucking many at this point. You know, I was counting I wasn't even counting. It's ridiculous. I've got nearly 3,000 PDFs in my collection.
I have,
and it's ridiculous.
There was a Palestine bundle, at one point. Like most of my games are on like
I think I got
drive through, but
I think I got that one.
This one might have been done by Anne the Gnome. But you had to download everything like within a certain period of time, though because it wasn't done through itch. It was just a what do you call it, like a spreadsheet from which you had to download it. So I have a whole bunch of games from there. And then obviously on my itch and on my drive through I have a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I don't think it's a problem.
It's a problem.
The cantrip core, I want to I used cantrip core once to play. So NASA put out a module which they said was system agnostic but was very clearly made for D&D. But I was like, I'm gonna run it with some other system. So I ended up doing the cantrip core.
Okay.
And I forget what I gave them as their stats, but it was like science, like there was something brain, something body, something soul related, something magic related, I think. And I don't know if I even did the cantrip core right. They passed most of their rolls. I was just like, roll all sorts of d4s. Tell me when you get a 4. Or I forget exactly what happened. Triangle Agency. Have you played that yet?
No, that's on a to do. That's on
The
a to do list.
Triangle Agency is pretty cool.
It sounds fucking that to me is all I need for it to get my attention.
Yeah.
It sounds to be that sort of deadpan humor, which really resonates with me because I like Delta Green. I'm a huge Delta Green slut, but Triangle Agency just I think has that extra sort of deadpan level to it, which I 100% want to fucking play.
Triangle Agency is just, it's so funny. Just like the different things, like first of all, the actual book is so cute in the way that it's made. Where it's made kind of like an employee handbook. And then like the anomalies, the realities, and the competencies are all just, there's so much, like there's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, there's 9 anomalies that you can be. 1 2 3 4 5 6, yeah, so there's 9 realities, 9 anomalies, and 9 competencies that you can
Right.
choose from. So 9 times 9 is 81 times 9. There's 729 different possibilities.
Yeah.
And then within each one there's a bunch of questions that you answer. So even if you did have even if you played 2 characters with the same anomaly, reality, and competency, you could still play completely different characters. But it's great. I would love to play a long version of Triangle Agency.
Yeah. Well, you've given me an idea because I have a group of friends at work who aren't necessarily into tabletop role playing games, but we were having the conversation about me perhaps running a Christmas one shot for them. And I've been racking my brain to kind of go what to play. And you've just said Triangle Agency. And it'd be like, that would be fucking perfect.
Yes.
So I think I've got it in a bundle. So I will be
I
downloading that from my drive through.
I don't know if they have the final version out or if it's still because there were the version that I have, there were still some things that I was like very confused on. But the other cool thing is that it took us a while to understand this, but for your reality, there are people in your life. Like the questions assign different people to your life, and so you answer that, but then you assign each of those characters to another player. So if that character shows up, instead of the GM having to run that player, one of the other players does.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, I might. 12 missions for the Triangle Agency. Yeah. I don't think I actually own this, but I will be owning it very soon. But yeah, Triangle Agency is one that I've always wanted to play. So yeah, I will be.
Yeah, so
I will be purchasing that.
If you were the newborn as one of your realities, so your reality trigger is still learning burnout release, then they have onboarding questions that you answer to tell your character, but then you have a relationship, and it says you have 3 core relationships that are your anchors to society. So you answer the questions: who is your favorite teacher? Who relies on your unusual perspective? Who loves to take advantage of your naivete? And then each of those people is assigned to another player at the table. And
Right.
so the GM is going to, be running the whole scene, but they say your adopted brother Carl shows up, and then Misfit is the one who's playing Carl. So that's like a
Nice.
cool way to make sure, and again takes something off of the GM.
Yeah.
And makes things more fun.
Yeah, I definitely need to buy that. It's been on my want list for some time, but now that you've said that, my brain is kind of going, oh, it all makes sense now.
Yes,
I can
yeah.
run track because we all work for a big organization, so I think it would be quite funny to have a TTRPG session with newbies and kind of going, right, you are in this organization, and just see how it plays out.
And all you roll are D4s. You just gotta get like a million D4s.
I got a million already. No, I've got a million D4s. I'm not worried about them. But yeah, Triangle Agency, thank you for that. All right. But I think on that note, that's pretty much all we've got time for this evening. And it's fucking flown by. It is absolutely flown by. So do you want to just tell people whereabouts they're going to be able to see your new project, and whereabouts on the interwebs they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm Co-GM on Game Master Monday. It is a podcast. Been in a couple fundraising things here and there. Beyond that, I am in a high-level D&D campaign using 2024 character creation. That's every other Monday on D&D with D. That's all I can remember right now, but you can check out my card, which, I will update at some point. That will tell you
like 6
what I'm doing.
Was it 4 weeks? 4 weeks
that I've said that? Oh yeah, it's gonna be another 2 months before it happens, but
okay, can we put some pressure on Zoop to update that card, please?
I really need to. So that people know to come here.
Yeah, exactly. They can come. Exactly, they can come here, and then they can remind you to update the card.
Oh, and then follow Convention Zero on Blue Sky and Threads to find out when we're putting out information about Convention Zero, which happens online during PAX U.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be fantastic. I am going to probably get involved in that because I think it's a fantastic fucking cause. So yeah, I'm going to kind of come out of my social media shell that I've been hiding in for the past couple of months, and yeah, I definitely want to make a difference in that, because we can't all go to PAX U.
Yeah,
I certainly fucking can't. Far too expensive. So why not do something parallel to it?
Exactly.
So as for me, you can find me behind most of the social media in regards to the show at Too Legit to Crit. I'm probably mostly active, and I say that with a heavy pinch of salt, on Blue Sky and Threads. If you want to find out more about the show, find out more about us, check us out at toollegit2crit.com. And I think that's about it. We do have a Ko-fi, but I've kind of stopped plugging that. But if you do want to drop us a coffee, it's more than appreciated. So I want to say thank you to Zoop for keeping me company this evening. I want to say thank you to everyone that's kind of followed along from home. It's great to see you guys. We love you. And most importantly of all, I want to thank everyone who's taken time out of their busy day to listen to us waffle on about tabletop role-playing games. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.